This video will cover the benefit profiles, benefit types, and vendor codes table. Let's get started by logging into the web administrator role, clicking on validation tables, and using this handy search tool to find the benefit profiles table. Now this is simply a table with a code, description, and an area for you to select a profile type. Enter your 10-character alphanumeric code devoid of any special characters or spaces. Make sure to select the profile type as benefits, benefit profile. So benefit profiles are used to determine a group or a set of benefits. An example would be if your organization offered 3 different sets of benefits, one set to part-time employees, another to full-time employees, and then another to executives. You would create 3 profiles here with the profile type set to benefits. Later in the setup process, we will associate benefits to the proper profile. Now that you have all of your profiles set up, let's move on to benefit types. Benefit types refer to the core services as opposed to the eligible employees, like a profile. Create your code, description, and then select your open enroll type. This will either define the type of benefit or who is covered for this benefit. Many of these have already been created by your system administrator. Make sure to check the available codes because one might already exist that you're trying to make. Next up is the vendor codes table. Vendors define payees for payments to be issued, such as child support orders, garnishments, and insurance carriers. In this video, we will be adding insurance carriers. Enter a code of 10 characters or less with no spaces or special characters. Next, enter a description of the code. Here you will enter the company name and information of the vendor. Enter the point of contact information for this vendor. Contact name, title, phone, fax, email, address, and reference info. These are all optional. And next, we're on the last section titled Payment Information. First, let's look at this area. Here you will define whether the vendor's payment is paid through the system in the payroll process or is escrowed and paid through payment liabilities for future payment. For a direct payment, we would choose Vendor Payment Direct. A vendor payment direct with a check or ACH can be generated from the organization's bank account during payroll processing. To escrow the liability for future payment, click the Create Escrow Pay to Vendor radio button and select the following. Vendor code for the escrow vendor. This data comes from vendors that you have already entered and saved into the vendor codes table. Liability due rule. The liability due rule defines the schedule for future payment of the escrowed liability. Next, we're going to look at the payment type section. If the payment will be paid direct and from the system, select the check option if you would like your organization to pay the liability through a check generated as part of payroll processing. Choose the ACH option if you prefer to pay through the ACH system. Next, click on the ellipsis button to validate the bank transit code and enter the vendor's account number. Enter the bank transit number. Click on the validate button. Upon successful validation of the transit code, enter the account number. Click on OK to save the banking information. If the organization will pay the liability through its own in-house accounts payable system, select the No Payment option and leave the Vendor Payment Direct option selected. For vendors that require EFT remittance, such as some child support vendors, select the EFT addenda format. For a child support vendor, enable ACH credit TXP addenda records for employee detail payments. Select the checkbox to create multiple addenda records and the ACH option for the payment type. To set the ACH account type to savings for this vendor, select the ACH account payment checkbox and select the ACH option for the payment type. This is often used if the vendor is specifically for depositing funds directly into employee-specific health or flexible savings accounts. The default account type for an ACH payment is a checking account. Leave the ACH savings account payment checkbox clear for any ACH payment that is being sent to a checking account.